Hello, friends. Welcome to the Wednesday night nonfiction SHTF or post SHTF book club. And I am the Cold War Prepper. My name is Lee. Welcome to Mother Earth Garden Club and Methane Creator, as well as Utah Mike. Do me a favor. Let me know. Am I coming across pretty good? Is the mic working? Am I having any sound problems, video problems, or anything else? Please let me know. Good evening, Tammy Harder. Good to see you. Trying to get a audio video check. Are we doing okay? Thank you, Utah Mike. Fantastic. Okay, so the book we're working on tonight is The Ultimate Prepper Pantry Survival Guide. Great book. Please get a copy of this and include it in your Prepper Library. Another one that I am also currently reading, I have right over here. And let me tell you, I am just totally enthralled with this one as well. I'll try to get a link for it in the comments. But this is the Boy Scouts Outdoor Oven Cooking, or Dutch Oven Cooking, I'm sorry. Phenomenal book, all kinds of great information on cooking, on how to use a Dutch oven, on recipes, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Phenomenal book, just absolutely great. This is another one I consider to be an essential addition to your prepper library. Reminder, tomorrow evening we're doing volume 7 of Stephen C. Smith's Stonemont series on Wings Like Eagles. Great book. I like Stephen Smith. I like the way he writes. This is going to be, it's not going to have quite as much prepper information, but it's going to have a lot of rebuilding information, things that we need to take into consideration around justice and things like that in a post-apocalyptic world. Plus, he also gives us an insight into what, and remember, he is ex-law enforcement. So he did undercover narcotics work, undercover anti-gang work. So he has a lot of information stored up about evil in the United States, and in this book, of course, we see 2 of those kind of coming to fruition and how they mitigate those in a real world situation. Once we finish this book, once we finish Stephen C. Smith's tomorrow night, for our February fiction book club, we're going to do Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson. I'll put a link. I think I've already put a link for this in the comments down below. There are a lot of people who are quoting this. I want to tell you, she did a fantastic job of researching what would happen in a nuclear war. Extremely detailed information. I think there are a couple of false assumptions in it that we'll get into, but this is overall something you need to have just so you understand some of the possibilities. This does say it is fiction, and it is based on facts, but it is fiction. It does say right on the cover, a scenario. So don't take this as being 100% the way it's going to go. Don't even take it as being 25% the way it's going to go. But there is a lot of great factual information in the book. So that'll be our book for the end of February. Let's see who all's here. I saw somebody say hello, Triple G, one of my favorite guys. Well, I got so many favorite people on this channel. Let me see. We've got Mother Earth Garden Club, Methane Creator. For those of you who haven't seen it, Methane Creator, maybe you can do it here. He found a real good deal and emailed it to me on 5 pounds of soy candle wax with wicks and centering devices, 50% off or something like that. Let me tell you, that's one of those things that if you learn how to make candles, you will have an occupation in a post-apocalyptic world. I think if you look at my pantry, my prepper pantry hauls on a regular basis, you'll see me adding wicks. And the reason is because people burn their candles down to the last little bit. And then what we will do as candle makers in a post-apocalyptic world is take those little bits and then recycle those into new candles so that we can take the last little refuse piece and turn it into something that's viable for them to use on their own. Of course, they probably will not think they have a whole bunch of extra wicks. Same thing. I think I've shown, there's a video in the past I showed you the Tops Easy cigarette maker. I learned that when I was working at the homeless shelter. The homeless would get these Tops Easy rollers, and it's basically a preformed. The tube for the cigarette is already preformed, has a filter on it. They would go out in the streets and gather up butts off the side of the road and in the sidewalk and everything else. They'd come back and they'd squeeze out the residual tobacco out of the cigarette butts and put that into this easy pull or easy cigarette maker, and then stuff a new tube with that. Ooh, but I tell you what, it's concentrated because all that nicotine, everything gets down to the end. But anyhow, that's how they would get their cigarettes to satisfy their habit, and very inexpensively. So in a post-apocalyptic world, for people who have that habit, if you want to be able to sate that habit, just having the tubes and the cigarette maker, the stuffer, the easy cigarette maker, that would be a fantastic career for you. Let me see here. Utah Mike, good evening. Welcome. Thank you. Tammy Harder, Butch Graves, our friend from Colorado. We had dinner. Those of us who teach the Getting Ahead class, which is based off of Dr. Ruby Payne's work on getting out of poverty, and Rich Duvall and Dr. Donna Beagle, they put together a class on how to change the mindset and get out of poverty. And I teach that class, and so we had a dinner where we all had our spouses, and we went out to dinner a week ago tomorrow night, last Thursday. And we were all sitting around the table and just guessing ages, and everybody guessed that one of my constituents and somebody else were older than I was. It turns out that I was the oldest by 3 years. So I guess I'm looking rather young, but even though the video makes me look older. But anyhow, let me see here. Diana 2, good evening. Welcome. Little Lone Prepper, thank you. Good evening. There's Triple G. Good evening, Pete. Scott Hummer, I think I said. Theoxerus, another one of our great contributors. Thank you for being here. Cats and Prepping. Sue Me, and we were just chatting earlier. She's got some major snowfall up there in Canada. And so she had a rough time getting to work this morning because of the amount of snowfall up there. Thank you for that reminder, Sumi, for everybody to hit the thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Let me see. Teresa Buchanan, good evening. Good to see you. I think I said Butch Graves. Let me see. Cats and Prepping. I hope we have a couple lurkers as well. We've got 22 people watching. Wow, that's fantastic. What a great evening. Mother Earth Garden Club, of course, I said that earlier. I think she was the very first one on. All right. Holly Ivans, gosh, I like her. So anyhow, we're in this book. Let's get into chapter 5, and what we're talking about in chapter 5 is, oops, I've got that marked at chapter 4. How did I do that? Okay, chapter 5, the forgotten provisions. So he talks about making sure that you have an inventory system. I would show you my inventory system, but I have a hard time showing Excel spreadsheets. So I have an Excel spreadsheet for mine. And with my Excel spreadsheet, what I do is I have several tabs. Let me just go to here, and I can tell you what my tabs are. At least I can do that. And then I can tell you the columns and everything, how I maintain my inventory. So my tabs are on my Excel spreadsheet, bakery items, coffee and drinks, dairy, entrees, fruit, meat, miscellaneous, and that's going to be things like yeast and things that you don't really have a column to put into. I say yeast, but that's probably under bakery. What do I have here under miscellaneous? Oh, under miscellaneous, I have banana pudding, berry drink, chocolate grain crunch, cornstarch, fruit drinks, garlic, green chili peppers, honey, Italian seasoning, multigrain cereal, mushrooms, peanut butter. I think I have mushrooms under vegetables as well. Pet food, pilot bread, crackers, popcorn, salt, shortening, spaghetti seasoning, brown sugar, sugar white, sugar powdered, confectioner's sugar. Let me see. Can I get any? I need to scroll down here. Taco seasoning, yeast, vinegar, and sample pack from Rainy Day Foods. Then I have, after that, I have one tab just for nutrient survival because I really like their products. I have a lot of their stuff. Then I have pasta, protein, sauces, and these are primarily going to be the sauces I get from Thrive Life. And then some of the other stuff I might get from Sam's Club. I get the big bouillon things from Sam's Club or Costco. So those are things that I consider to be sauces. And soups, vegetables, spices and herbs, dry packages, fuel and light. So in fuel and light, for example, I have propane, the 1 pound Coleman, that's the green can. The Sterno canned heat, and that's the hot stuff for outdoor cooking. Safe heat, which is the safe stuff for indoor cooking. And then Coleman butane fuel cartridge, which is the one that gets inserted inside the one burner stove. Then for lighting, candles, beeswax candles, all that kinds of stuff. Then over here, then I have cans. I started cans. I gave up on cans. And that's why you see this last video that I made on my Prepper Pantry haul. I had two cans of green lima beans. I thought I had them. I didn't. So that's my canned goods are in total disarray as far as having a good spreadsheet on those. And then I have ammo, and then followed by stuff I've gotten from the LDS Preparedness Center. And then I think this is the last tab. Yeah, the last tab are precious metals. So that's kind of my spreadsheet, my Prepper spreadsheet, and I keep that on a thumb drive backup as well as on my computer here. Let me get back over here. But anyhow, and then so what I do is I put the title, who it's from, is the next column. Then I put the size because there are different sizes. I have, for example, with Thrive Life, you have a number 10 can, and you have, which is the 3 pound coffee can, and you have the 2.5 can, which is basically a little bit larger than the 14.5 ounce can. If you imagine the cans of beef stew, the big Diddy Moore beef stew cans, it's that big around and twice as high. So that's a number 2.5 can. Then the next column, after I say what size it is, I say how many servings are there per can. Okay. Then after that, I have the total number of cans that I have of that product. And then I multiply, then the final product, of course, is let's say J5 equals J4 times J3, which is the total number of cans times the total number of servings. And then that way I can see how many servings I have of each one of my freeze-dried foods. Hey, Kaylin, welcome. Good to see you. I'm sorry I missed you Sunday evening. There are some friends at our exercise class. We do exercises on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And some friends wanted to play bingo Sunday afternoon. So if we went to bingo at 2:00, we'd miss 5:00 mass Sunday evening, which we normally attend. So in order to go play bingo last Sunday, we ended up going to mass on Saturday. And then of course, bingo took from 2 to 6. And by the time we all went out to eat and everything else, by the time I got home, I just barely caught the last of your live. But I apologize for that. We try to make it whenever we can. Utah Mike asked a question about calories. No, I don't keep that much on calories, Utah Mike. I do. I probably should. But I do not keep count of calories. If we were going to keep anything, because we have type 1 diabetic in the family, we would probably keep a closer look at carbs rather than calories. Well, thank you, Little Lone Prepper. I owe you a cup of coffee. Thank you. I did not pay her to say that, by the way. Holly Ivans, yeah, okay. So I think I caught up there. Let's go on up here. And so that's what happened. Let me see. I saw it here. Somebody said we prefer butter beans, and this kind of jumps around on me. And that's what we end up doing. We made uh, it's called American goulash, or some people call it that. We call it hamburger soup. We just needed to rotate some stock, and so we got rid of some cans, and we wanted to put in the lima beans into the American goulash or the hamburger soup. We didn't have any, so we put in some Allen's butter beans. And the difference, of course, is just a little bit of taste and but and color primarily. Um, Oh wow. And somebody mentioned here just recently that they had an adapter, which I need to look. No, I do have the adapter. I don't have the tank, is what it is. But somebody, a couple things there. I'm going to go off target here for just a second. Somebody mentioned on one of my hauls that they had purchased the adapter to convert their Mr. I'm going to get it wrong. Mr. Buddy is the actual product name. The name of the company is Mr. Heater. Mr. Heater is the name of the manufacturer. And they had bought an adapter so that you no longer use the 1 pound green propane tanks, but you could then plug it in to the Mr. Heater product and run that to a 5 pound propane tank. And so I bought one of those. And thank you for whoever suggested that. Now what I need to do is get a 5 pound propane tank. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but that would be fantastic. Then, shortly after that, because I was looking for the product, I found another thing, and I found a video on YouTube, of course, around how you can take the 5 pound propane tanks, turn them upside down, and it's got this other thing where you can refill. You use this special adapter, and you can refill your 1 pound tanks from the 5 pound tank. So, that's my next thing I'll probably get once I pay off all this radio equipment that I purchased. It was Tammy Harmer saying she prefers butter beans to lima. Yeah, Kaylin does a lot of MRE stuff, so I'm sure she has a lot of both the just add water heaters for MREs and rations, and she also has a whole bunch of solid fuel tabs. Please do not burn the solid fuel tabs indoors. Number one, they're what are they? Hexa something. I forget the name of the chemical. It burns fairly hot, but it gives off a yellow residue, and it's an obnoxious odor. And I think it's poisonous indoors. So make sure you're in a very well insulated place outside if you're going to use those tabs. And there are special little stoves for them that they issued us. Back in the early 1970s. But trioxane, that's what it is, trioxane. I hope that's what I'm remembering right. Caitlin, straighten me out here. Tell me what it's called. I think it's trioxane. Butter. So let me tell you about butter, freeze-dried butter, Tammy. The freeze-dried butter you cannot use as a cooking instrument. It's going to be for flavor only. They've removed all the fat content out of it. During the freeze drying process or the dehydrating process, so that it doesn't work as a fat or as an oil. So what we are doing, and what I have back in the back for cooking, is I purchased the smaller bottles of extra virgin olive oil and put those in the closet in my storage room. And that way they're always kept in a dark, in a constant temperature and everything else. We also use coconut oil. That's going to be a very long shelf life. I have a lot of ghee, and that's a very good thing to use as far as a fat for cooking, etc. I have probably a dozen of those little packages of Bacon Up, which is basically bacon grease, and it's been purified and clarified. And then what else do I have for cooking oil wise? Oh, lard. I probably have 15, 20 pounds of lard, and that will store for a very long time. So although butter, you want butter for taste, and let me see how much do I have of butter? That's a good question. Let's go to dairy and butter. I have 664. No, I'm sorry. I'm about ready to give you a false number. That's cheddar cheese. was going to 664 servings of cheddar cheese. I have 2,423 servings. I guess that's 1 teaspoon of it, of butter. And that's from Emergency Essentials, Nutrient Survival, Thrive Life, Saratoga Farms, Mother Earth Products, Algerson Farms are the ones I purchased all of that from. Okay, let me see. Molasses is fantastic, absolutely. As far as a sweetener, you're absolutely correct. I have 2 that I store. I store molasses and I also store honey. And those are going to be my 2 primary sweeteners, other than, of course, the white sugar. The Colombian president changed his tone on receiving back his citizens, and offered to send his own presidential airplane to fly them home. So now the president's airplane is being used to fly them home. Okay, Little Lone Pepper was the one who recommended the adapter for refilling the 1 pound, or no, I'm sorry, the 5 pound tank to the Mr. Heater. Okay. Holly's making ghee this weekend. I have seen canned butter. What is that? Mr. Feather or Feather or something like that. I've seen the canned butter, have not purchased it, but I have seen it. Don't know what duck confit is. Confit is their methane creator. We're supposed to have hail here in Central Texas later on this evening. I ordered 2 hail mats, one for my pickup and one for the car. They should be coming probably as we're talking this evening. They said it would be here between 5 and 8, and it's already past 8. But okay, let me see here. Okay, red feather. Thank you. Thank you, Kaylin. Yes, red feather butter. How does that taste? Have you tasted it? I don't know. And number 1, how does it taste? Number 2, can you use it for cooking? Does it still have the fat content in it? Okay, then he talks about after the implementing, that's a long diversion off of implementing an inventory system, a 3-tier food storage method explained and recommended. So he does the same thing that I do. Aha! The Ring doorbell. Let's see what this is. There is motion at your front door. And so that's Amazon delivering my covers for the car and truck. So that goes on immediately after we finish this evening. But they talk about a 3-tier food storage method, and so that's the same thing we do. So we have 3 different storages. We have our cooking storage, and that's this pantry right here. So pantry here, as well as the refrigerator here, is our first tier storage. Okay, so we're taking out of it, we're operating out of it, and then we have a 2nd tier storage, which is basically our older stuff that we've moved in to replace, so that we kind of take from. Helen just brought in a box.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I do. It's those mats we ordered.
Really heavy.
It's those hail mats we ordered for the truck and car. I would hope so.
Easy shade. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. So those are the mats for the cars. So we take from our long-term pantry, which is 1 room, put it into a 2nd pantry. Well, actually, we draw from our working pantry, which is here. So when we use up something from our working pantry, then we go into our short-term pantry, pull something from it to put into our working pantry. And then we take from our long-term pantry and put it into our short-term pantry. Then we go out and replace. And that's what you see me in my Saturday prepper hauls. When you see me buying something, that's going into the long-term pantry. Okay, so we're replacing something that we took out of it is typically what that's going to be. We have refrigerator freezer here. We have a refrigerator freezer in the garage. Then we have a freezer in the garage. So it goes from the freezer in there out there to the freezer here to the refrigerator, and then the refrigerator is where we thaw in order to cook. So that's kind of that 3-tier system working. Now, one of the things that you have to do is, and that's where my 5x8 cards that I showed you a long time ago, I have my recipes. So let's say like for American goulash or for hamburger soup, I need 1 pound of hamburger or 1 cup of freeze-dried hamburger. And then I need 1 can of veg-all or 1 cup of freeze-dried mixed vegetables. Then I need 1 cup or 1 can of tomato sauce or 4 tablespoons of powdered tomato sauce. So all of that gets delineated on my recipe card as to what I need in bulk storage in order to have those recipes available for us to cook in a post-apocalyptic world. Everybody's saying hi, Helen. Okay, so that's the 3-tier storage system, pulling from one into the second and then into the first. He talks, well, let me tell you about my mistake, and please don't make my mistake. And if I had it to do all over again, I wish I could, I wish I would. I've done it in the garage, but those things I don't have to rotate because I don't put food out in the garage. But I didn't do it in my pantry room, and that is that if we imagine that this is the wall, I put my shelf flat against the wall, okay? So now if I want to have first in, first out, if I want to have good rotation, when I buy something new, instead of putting it in the front, I have to put it in the back. And that's very difficult to do. Sometimes, for example, we just bought 6 cans of Costco Kirkland brand canned chicken. So first I have to cut that package, take all 6 cans, date the cans for when we're putting them into storage. Then I have to pull all of the other cans because I've got it up against the wall. I have to pull all the other cans out and then put the newest back in the back. So it's furthest back, and then pull everything else forward. So if I had taken that, instead of doing it this way against the wall, if I had done it this way against the wall, then I would be able to put all my new stuff in the back so that I'm pushing the oldest stuff to the front as I replace it. So if I had it to do all over again, I would have my shelving units perpendicular to the wall instead of parallel with the wall. That's my recommendation if you were just starting, or if you're at the point where you can or have the opportunity to do that. Now, I did make up for that because after I filled up all 4 walls, then down the center of the room, kind of making a big U, I have shelving units going down the middle, and it works there where I can backfeed and make sure that I have good rotation there. Hello, Higgy Hodenstead. Welcome. Good to see you. So he says what you want for your larder or for your pantry is to have it well organized, easy access, or to me, well organized means having like objects together and knowing where those like objects are. Now, it got to the point, let's take an example of tomato sauce or tomatoes. I had all those together on one shelf in the closet, and it soon outgrew those. And so then I had to move to another space. So then it becomes difficult of, well, I'm going to move from here. It's kind of like moving from that 3rd storage bin to the 2nd storage bin, because I take this location, all my new stuff goes back to the back of it and move forward. And then this gets moved over to the back of the other one. So we got a whole bunch more can shuffling, and then that gets pulled out so that I can bring it in here for our use in the working pantry. So I have to basically shuffle cans 3 times when I replace something. I am not buying any more tomatoes or tomato sauce for quite a while. I think I have enough. Plus I have enough tomato sauce in a can from the freeze-dried food companies. I think I'm done with tomato sauce for a while. Tomato paste, you can make that out of the instant freeze-dried stuff as well. And so, my tomato paste, I was buying it in tubes, but the last one was really, really getting dark. And so it kind of scared me. We didn't use it. Mother Earth Garden Club says she has a can of powdered butter, but hasn't cooked with it. And like I said, it doesn't have any fat in it, so you can't cook with it. It's only going to be for taste. Absolutely, Foxtrot, you are 100% correct. So the oil is gone in the butter, so you can't use it to cook. It's only there for taste. And the same thing with both heavy cream and sour cream. You're going to use that for taste purposes only. So if you're going to add heavy cream or sour cream to a soup, stew, or casserole at the end, it's great for taste, but that's about it. Okay. I probably would not want to make any Alfredo sauces or anything like that. Okay, so easy access, efficient inventory management. Of course, that's making sure you know how you're bringing forth your FIFO, your first in, first out. Labeling. So be consistent. That's why I put the day that I put things in storage instead of the best by date on the can. I wanted a consistent way of saying what's oldest, because that's all that matters to me, is what is oldest. So if I put, for example, on a 5-pound bag of beans, of pinto beans, the day that I bought it, and then I transfer that to a long-term storage container. I'm using these, well, when we empty these, okay, then I'm using these for beans, rice, and stuff like that. They're pretty good. Then I can take my pump and seal vacuum system, and I punch a hole up here, and then pump the air out when I have put in beans or rice, and then it has a rubber grommet that basically gets sucked down on top of it. And these do a very good job of maintaining pressure and allowing for long-term storage. I also use 3-liter Coke bottles the same way, and they do a very good job of holding a vacuum as well. The bad thing about the 3-liter Coke bottles is that they kind of crimple when you vacuum seal them. The plastic isn't as durable as this, and so they have a tendency to kind of you can see that where it's sucking in. The plastic is sucking in. Let me see here. Yep, that's my favorite. Helen has a different one that she likes. As a matter of fact, we went to Sam's today, and she picked up one, and I picked up one. What else did we get? Oh, I forget what else we. I bought 3 bottles of wine, a cherry Moscato, and Menage a Trois red blend, and Members Mark Old Vineyard Zinfandel. Airtight containers for grains and dry goods, absolutely. So as soon as you can, get those into a pressurized container so that you have them vacuum sealed. Keep them in as dark a room as possible. My storage room actually has blackout curtains over it as well, so that when you go in, now the unfortunate thing, I'll tell you another one of my design flaws. Remember, I told you I had that shelving unit in the middle of the room. From one wall, it is perpendicular to the wall and comes out so that it makes a U shape. You have to walk in that storage room. Well, the bad thing about that is it's up so high that it gets close to the center light in the room. And so that shields light from certain parts of the room. And then I have to walk in there with a flashlight, even with the light on. But you want to keep it as dark as possible. Dark, oxygen-free, and cool weather are your friends for storage, okay? From what I understand, Mother Earth, ghee typically has about a 3-year shelf life, but if you keep it cool and in a dark place, you can prolong that. Transparent containers, which this is great for that. It's transparent. You know exactly what's inside of it once you use it for storage. The same thing with the Coke bottle. The same thing with what else do we use? Well, Helen has the smaller Hunter mix, and so we use that as well. So we have Hunter mix cans, we have these Oots cans, and then we have 3-liter Coke bottles. So the three things we primarily use for all of our bulk storage of powders, grains, and things like that. Mylar bags for long-term storage, absolutely. I am of the opinion that, and you don't have to follow my example. Please, make your own decision. But I am of the opinion right now. I'm just vacuum sealing certain things because I have some other things that are not vacuum sealed that I'm going to try to use first. But I am getting more and more convinced that we're going to be using our stores in the very near future. I'm going to predict by the end of this year. So I am getting to the point to where I am looking at, I don't have to put it in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber as much as I used to. Now, and Holly Ivins just brought up a very good point, and I want to point this out. So she does her flour in Mylar bags. Anytime you have a powder, flour, sugar, cornmeal, things like that, if you're going to put them into a vacuum seal bag, remember, as you suck the air out, you're going to get those little bitty grains, and they're going to get into your vacuum sealing system, and it's going to mess it up. Okay. So you either have to find a way, for example, here, what you might want to do is put a piece of cloth on top or something, a coffee filter, something on top, so that if you're going to vacuum seal it, then as you suck it, if you have a powder in here, the powder is going to be contained in that filter and not get into your vacuum sealing system. And that can be whether you're using the hose for a mason jar or for this with a pump and seal. Doesn't matter what it is. If you don't put a filter there and you have a powder that you're trying to vacuum seal, it's going to mess it up. So what Holly says here is absolutely correct. And let me see. She says here that her flour is in Mylar bags. Absolutely. You could do it in here. You can do it in a Mylar bag. You can do anything else. But what you're going to do is you're going to need to do one of two things as far as preserving it. Either an oxygen absorber of their appropriate volume or carbon dioxide of the appropriate volume. So why do I say carbon dioxide? Because, and that's basically called dry ice, okay? So what happens is you can take a Mylar bag, put about a thumb-sized piece of dry ice on top of, and I would put it on something, a piece of cardboard or a piece of metal or something like that, on top of what it is you want to seal. And you're going to leave it open, okay? Because carbon dioxide is heavier than air. So as your dry ice melts, the carbon dioxide goes down and pushes all the air out of the bag. Then once that carbon dioxide is completely melted, then you can vacuum, then you can seal the top, and you know that the only thing inside of your bag is carbon dioxide and there is no air. So that would be another way you could do the same thing. Holly has the right idea. Thank you for reminding us of that. That's a fantastic thing. And Holly Ivins' gut, she's on target tonight. Absolutely. One of the things you have to be concerned about are insects and insect larvae and eggs. And so one of the ways that we can get rid of those is if you pre-freeze it. So if you freeze anything you're going to vacuum seal for 72 hours prior to vacuum sealing it, you can even let it thaw while you're vacuum sealing it. That's fine. You want to kill any insects, any larvae that might be inside your whatever it is that your container is, and that way you don't have to worry about them eating your storage while they're behind closed doors. Let me see. Then he talks about mason jars for preserved foods. Let me tell you, if you're like I am and you store mason jars out in your garage, one of the things you need to do is that's taking up space. Inside those jars is precious space. Fill them with water until you need them. And then when you need them, just use the water and dry them out. But right now, if you have mason jars, quart jars, gallon jars, whatever, pint jars sitting out in your garage waiting to be filled with other foods, you're wasting space. Make sure you're putting something else in there temporarily until you need those for your actual canning effort. And I'm going to be, okay, Lynn has a great thing here. Remember, no oxygen absorbers in salts or sugars. I haven't heard that, so thank you for sharing that. Okay. Plastic bins with lids for non-perishables, heavy-duty plastic buckets for bulk goods. Yes, and once again, you're going to want to vacuum seal those in a way where you're either going to use the oxygen absorber or you're going to use dry ice. Freezer bags for short-term storage. Absolutely. Don't count on a freezer bag being as protective of your foods as is a Mylar bag. So if it's only going to be for short term. So when we go, for example, oh, that's what we bought. They had Polish kielbasa on sale at Sam's today. 3 for like three large sausages for like $8 or something like that. So we picked up a package of 3. We cut those. Okay. So if we were to pick up, let's say, a package of chicken thighs or chicken wings or chicken breasts, you know how they come bulk. They come like 12 or 14 at a time. So what we will do is when we come home, we'll break that down and we'll put 2 to a freezer bag or to a vacuum seal bag and vacuum seal it or freezer bag it and put it back into the freezer. That way, when we get ready and just the 2 of us want something to eat, we can pull out that one bag. Otherwise, if you freeze the whole thing, then you've got to kind of break off pieces here and there, and it gets terrible. So we reprocess everything that we get bulk and break it down into more usable sizes before we freeze those. I saw Seal Meal. Phosphorus, that's exactly the brand I use. I use Seal Meal. So yeah. I didn't look for eggs. I probably should have, so I could tell you. No, I did not look for them. But I will tell you, if you see any freeze-dried eggs right now, whether I would recommend Nutrient Survival. That's my number one go-to. Now, remember, Nutrient Survival's freeze-dried eggs are freeze-dried scrambled eggs. Okay, so when you rehydrate them, you're adding hot water. All you're doing is making scrambled eggs. On the other hand, if you get something like Algerson Farms whole egg powder, you rehydrate that with cold water, and basically what you're doing is you're making liquid milk. Liquid eggs, and so then you can use that in baking or anything else. It's not necessarily going to be scrambled, whereas you could turn it into scrambled eggs if you want to. You're definitely not going to be able to get too fluffy over mediums with them. That's for sure, because it is liquid eggs. It's got the yolk and the white combined. So it's pre-cooked, whereas Nutrient Survival, Thrive Life are cooked. Mountain House is cooked. So all 3 of those, you're going to rehydrate a pre-cooked meal. Keep the humidity down in your storage area. Make sure you have, it says oxygen is one of those things that I heard a fantastic mnemonic, and I like it, and it's HALT, HALT. So HALT stands for you want to keep humidity out, you want to keep air out. A is air, L is light, and T is temperature. So you want to have a low temperature. So you want to avoid high humidity, air, light, and temperature. HALT is the mnemonic to remember what it is to appropriately store your perishables, store your food, your long-term food storage. We talked about pests. I think Holly covered that. Freeze it before you sack it. Wear protective gear. You don't want to infect the things that you're doing, so make sure you have sanitation, that you're wearing gloves, you're using clean utensils, that you're in a clean spot. You don't want to transfer any germs into your food products that you're going to be later consuming when there is no medical care. So use extreme. Oh, wow. Thank you, James. And welcome, by the way. James Carroll says that there's breaking news: an aircraft down in the Potomac at Ronald Reagan Airport. Wear protective gear. Isolate the affected items. Dispose of everything properly. Document any losses. I will tell you that the losses that I have only been a couple. I've had a case of peaches, and this was a case of 6 cans. Okay, so it was one of those things I got at Sam's Club or at Costco, and but it was a case of 6 peaches, Mandarin peaches. They blew up and got moldy and everything else. They were in the back. I had to get them out and I had to clean everything, disinfect it, and everything else. The other one that I've had go bad on me were peaches. So peaches and oranges are the 2 things I've had go bad on me so far, that basically erupted the canister that they were in. The ones that have gone, that I've let expire, that didn't do too well, the tubes of tomato paste, I think I probably should have used those a lot earlier. I will tell you that the older macaroni and cheese that I did not vacuum seal, the noodles were fine, but the powdered sauce inside, it did not reconstitute properly, and so we had to substitute some other cheese to make macaroni and cheese. So I would say the maximum storage for a box of mac and cheese that you have not vacuum sealed is maybe 1 year, maybe a max of 18 months, but somewhere in that vicinity, 1 year to 18 months for non-vacuum sealed macaroni and cheese. Now, I will also tell you, there are, and I forget which brands they are. I apologize. There are a brand or 2 of macaroni and cheese that have little cans of almost like Velveeta cheese that they have inside there. It's a liquidy cheese that you mix in. We have not had any problems with those going bad on us. So beware of the powders. Utah Mike says he's also had oranges go bad. Let me see. Methane Creator says, don't forget that you can water glass whole eggs using lime. Absolutely correct. And I haven't tried that. I'll just be honest. I haven't tried it yet. But you and I'll have to talk about that. If you've done it, I would like to know the results of that. All this time, I haven't done it. And then Triple G catches me on another one. So let me get down here. Which brings up a very good thing. So let me when I got my food service manager's license, I had to attend the course. So we think of 32 degrees as being freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. And that's the temperature at which water freezes, not necessarily the temperature at which foods freeze. So for food, we consider the frozen. I had to keep my freezers in my restaurant at 0 degrees or lower. Okay, I could not have them above that. From 0 degrees to 40 degrees, so that includes the 32 degrees freezing for ice. 0 degrees Fahrenheit to 40 degrees Fahrenheit is considered cool. Okay, so your cool items like milk and things like that, you want to store them 0 to 40. So those are the 2 zones. Frozen is below 0. Cool is from 0 to 40 degrees. Then 40 to 140 degrees is considered the danger zone. So if you have food out of the refrigerator and you have it at anywhere in that 40 degree to 140 degrees zone, then that's considered a danger zone where microorganisms are going to gather and contaminate your food real quick. You want to have it, if you're going to have it on a serving line, you have to have it at 140 degrees or higher. So that's why you have the heat lights and everything else. I got 5 points taken off on a health inspection at a motorcycle rally. The health inspector came in and I served breakfast from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Yeah, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So only 2 hours. And the health code says you cannot have anything on a serving line for more than 4 hours. So what they want you to do is put the date timestamp on everything that you put on your line so that you don't have anything on the line more than 4 hours. You have to pull it off and not contaminate anybody. Well, my logic is I'm only serving for 2 hours, so nothing's going to be out there for 4 hours, so I don't have to date timestamp it. Well, I was wrong. I got 5-point ding because I didn't date timestamp it, but that's the way it is. Did I ever pick up a jet boil system? No, I'm jealous. I would love to have a jet boil system. I almost asked for one for Christmas, but my rationale is that I've got these Sterno cans, I've got these Safe Heat cans, I've got these 1 pound propane tanks or butane tanks for my Mr. Buddy. I've got all of these for my 1-burner stoves inside the house. And then if I were to get a jet boil system, I would have a 5th type of fuel that I would have to start acquiring and storing. And so I decided against it just because I didn't want to have another type of fuel that I have to worry about storing. I don't want to have too much to where if anything happens before then, USAA doesn't deny my claim for a burned down house. So I'm jealous. Yeah, I would love to have one. I think that that's probably one of the paramount hiking systems that there are. For hiking, what I use is a solo stove, which is basically a gasifier stove, and then you can just use twigs and small things like that. But when I was up until I'm going to say 1980, for backpacking and hiking and things like that, I used what I call the Boy Scout stove. And so we took a tuna can and we side cut it so that the lid would fit back onto it instead of that opening where you actually pierce through the metal on the top. It doesn't fit back on. But we used a side opener, safe opener, and that way it fits back on. We would fill the inside with corrugated cardboard, and the corrugation ran up and down. And we would cut it to where it's about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the lip of the tuna can. Then once we got all that rolled up real tight and put inside, that became the wick, and we would pour in melted wax, paraffin. And so that became our stove. So you can have a little Sterno stove, the metal Sterno stove, and have one of these Boy Scout stove heaters. And then when you got done with it, you just put the lid on it and it was safe. And it wasn't flammable. So that was very, very, very good. But no, jet boil system, I would love to have one. But no. I just spent, almost $2,000 on my ham setup. So, I've got to kind of calm down on purchasing here for a while until I get that paid off. Great. Yes, I've heard that. I am tempted to do it, Holly. My favorite cheese is Jarlsberg Heart. And then after that, I love Swiss cheese. So, but I'm not sure. I think what they're talking about is basically some of the Edam and some of the other harder cheeses, the cheddars and things like that. They're probably much easier to wax. Someday we'll have to have you on and do a class on how to wax cheese. That would be phenomenal. Yeah, and so 0 is the one. And you guys are safe, Kaylin. That's a great temperature for your freezer there. Oh wow! Let me know how those work out. I've never thought of freezing eggs. I'm assuming that what you did was You cracked the egg and poured the contents into a muffin pan and then froze that and then took it out so that the white and the yellow are still separate. Am I correct in that assumption? Uh, so for mason jars, you can use them. I have. Oh gosh, Utah Mike, help me out here. We said we had it. I forget the brand name. Utah Mike said it earlier. I think it was Utah Mike. The brand name of my sealing system, but it comes with the hose, and then it has this round adapter that's at the end of the hose, and it fits over a mason jar. Okay, so it fits over the quart mason jar, so you can actually vacuum seal things in a mason jar. So if you don't want to cold or pressure seal a mason jar, you can always use a vacuum seal as well. So there's 3 different ways, basically. Well, I guess there's more than that. You could put in some dry ice and then put the lid on and let the dry ice expand the air out. Um, gosh, yeah, mason jars are very versatile. I would say there are several ways you could use those as a form of storage. So, as a matter of fact, mason jars might even be better than these, except for the cost of the size. So this cost me like $11, and I get something to eat something for a week or two. Whereas the mason jar, that size, a gallon mason jar, is like $18 or $15, something like that. Let me see here. Where are we? Yeah, I'm interested in that as well. All right, Holly Ivans, do me a favor, send me an email. Let's get you on. Let's and we'll get that scheduled. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Uh, Food Saver 2 has 2 sizes for jar sealers. Kaylin uses, and so those are great. Okay. I don't think we have that much more in the chapter. Let me see here. Replenishing expired items. Make sure you watch out for sales and discounts. I will tell you, I am kind of averse. I'm not going to say I don't do it. I do it very rarely. I have one case in there of Wolf Brand chili without beans that was on sale at Sam's Club. I have one case of pinto beans that I got on sale at Sam's Club. So those are probably the only 2 where I bought anything in a case lot, other than little bitty 6-packs cases. I call that a case. I don't know what else to call it. Peaches and things like that, which I lost because they got old. But other than that, I really don't bulk buy things because when you do, they all have the same expiration date. So if you don't use them, they all go bad at the same time. I prefer to have onesie twosies added to my pantry so that as I'm adding those, if this one goes bad, the one that's up front, then the next one probably has a little bit longer shelf life left on it than the one that just went bad that's up front. But that's just my thoughts. I'm not saying that that's the best way or the right way. I say right now, go for the gusto. Get what you can for the money you have, because I think you're going to be needing it here in the near future. Preserve garden surplus, and then trade or barter. So make sure you enroll in coupons and loyalty programs. There was I used to have a coupon system. Gosh, this was probably 20, 30 years ago. They used to have coupons in the Sunday newspaper, and we clipped those out, and I had a coupon system. And so when we went shopping, we would always coupon. And there were times that we got things basically for free because of the coupons. If you caught them on sale and used a coupon at the same time, you got really good discounts. Other than HEB, which is our grocery store here in Texas, when you go there and they print out your receipt, then they print out a couple coupons with it. But that's that we don't coupon like we used to. I do have a couple items on subscribe and save in Amazon. So I have green onions, cabbage. These are freeze-dried. Green onions, cabbage, garlic, freeze-dried garlic. Gosh, there are a couple items I have on subscribe and save because you get an additional discount, like 5, 10, 15% discount. And so those come in. You'll see those not this weekend, but the following weekend because they all come in. Let me see what I have coming up in February. Amazon, subscribe and save. I'm not finding it. Gosh. Subscribe and save. I know green onions. I know cabbage, garlic. Let me see here. Subscribe and save. There we go. Subscribe and save. Subscriptions. Yay, I found it. Okay, so what do I have on subscribe and save subscriptions? Seattle's Best Coffee, vitamin D3, MPG freeze-dried chopped green onions, Ignis Super B complex methylated, Harmony House Foods dried tomato dices, Black Rifle Coffee Company Freedom Fuel, AA rechargeable batteries, AAA rechargeable batteries, uncooked freeze-dried beef patties from Forever Foods, Black Rifle just black coffee, garlic from Super Garden Freezes, and then bathing wipes. And this month, or every 6 months, we get our Pure Line replacement water filters for our refrigerator. So it's going to be a big order this month. But that's what we get on subscribe and save. So, and then of course, my Thrive Life order, I will get the notification of what's on sale for the month of February, probably day after tomorrow. And I may put out a real quick video on that. I'm only going to order 2 or 3 things. I'm just going to order enough to where I get free shipping, which is $100. So, because we're running out of space, and Helen told me I have to get some things straightened out here in the very near future. So that's pretty much where it is. So let me catch up here with the comments. Oh, wow. Mother Earth Garden Club has a great suggestion. I hope everybody caught it. I get suet from this meat store and render it into tallow. She's going to make hand lotion from the tallow. That tallow is the beef version of pork lard. Okay. So if you plan on using lard, you can also use beef tallow. Of course, that beef tallow, if you are Jewish or Muslim, that's going to be a little bit closer in alignment with your religious beliefs than using lard. So that's a great idea to use beef tallow, and you can get that from your local butchers. Oh, I'm starting to wheeze. 1 second. I don't know why. Let me take a deep breath and get that way down into my lungs. I don't know why. I haven't seen any alerts for Alaska. I'm sure he's still doing it. I'm going to check that. Why am I not getting alerts to watch him? I really like him. He's the one that told me to freeze dry Snickers, not freeze dry, but to vacuum seal Snicker bars. That he opened one that was 7 years old and it was still good. So I am vacuum sealing Snickers bars and licorice. So those are the 2 things I'm vacuum sealing as far as rewards for Sweet Tooth in a post-apocalyptic world. So there is a pink soap, and I'll have it. I'll show it at the beginning of tomorrow night's. I forget the name of it. It's not that expensive. You can just shave it, and but you can use it for bath soap. You can use it for dishwashing soap. You can use it for laundry soap. But I buy those bars, and I probably have a bucket full of those bars out in the garage. Zote soap. Thank you, Tammy. You are a champ. Thank you. So yeah, Zote soap. Ficgtion says the same thing. That's what it is. And it comes in two different colors, pink or white. I get the pink. But anyhow, that's what we're storing. And that's basically the same thing as what you would be home making if you wanted to do it without all the, what do they call them? The fillers that they put in, like Tide and all those other things. We also have Fells Naphtha. Thank you, Kaylin. Yeah, I have both of those. Fells Naphtha and Zote. I think Fells Naphtha is in a greenish colored wrapper, if I'm not mistaken. But anyhow. Okay, so we are at 1 hour and 5 minutes. I think it's time to cut it down. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget to be here tomorrow night. We're going to finish up with our fiction book club. And so for Fiction Book Club tomorrow night, we're talking about, we're doing Stephen C. Smith's On Wings of Like Eagles. And then you can get the next month's book, which is Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson. A lot of great technical information in there, but there's also a lot of stuff that I kind of ask, why did she do it that way? Why I kind of disagree with some of the things that are in there, but that's just the way it goes. Okay, Numbers chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. I talked with my Navy SEAL buddy and my submarine commander buddy. Both of them are willing to do a live where we're just going to talk about current events and their biggest fears and my biggest fears. And so we're just going to get the three of us together and do a chat. I probably would like to also have Triple G and wait a minute. Let me check my email. He's in chat tonight, and I can't. Methane Creator. I would love to have one evening where Methane Creator and Triple G and I just do kind of the same thing. If you are interested in doing a chat and just coming on and let's talk about things. Let's talk about what are you doing? What are your biggest fears? How are you mitigating those biggest fears? Send me an email. Let me know. Let's make an appointment where we can get together a small group and just on a topic. We've got one topic we're going to do, and that's on how to do waxing of cheese. If there's something that you have an interest in, let's find a day of the night of the week, and let's get you up on here, and let's teach other people how to survive. Because remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please continue to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because togetherness is the key. Stay safe, everybody. Go check out what that wreck on the Potomac is that we were told about, and check your news, and let's pray that nobody was injured. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.